Hello and welcome back to David's Garage. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about my E9 and if you're in the market to buy one of these cars, what to look out for. In my opinion, the E9 is one of the most beautiful and iconic BMWs of all time. The 3.0 CSLs of the day were the first to wear the now famous M colors and were so beautiful that two got hand painted by professional artists, and that was the first of the art cars. Now the main problem with E9s is of course rust. The E9s were hand-built by Karmann Coachworks and are built noticeably different than the 2002s and even Bavarias. The way the body panels attach seem overly complicated and require lots of man-hours to correctly replace. This means rust is a big deal. For example, the main killer is the front strut towers. Now I lucked out with this car as it's solid and has actually never been touched, but that is a rare scenario. Here is a rusty example that I purchased as a project, but was unfortunately just too far gone. These towers were actually repaired at some point as well. However, it was driven for too long, and both towers had completely ripped apart. The hood didn't even close. The next rust-prone place that is a common and serious problem is the upper wheel well area and firewall. A borescope would work well to look into this cavity, or you could open up the glove box and look at the upper firewall. This area rusts from the inside out, so if you see any bubbling, that means there will be significantly more rust. To properly fix this area, the fenders and inner panels need to be cut out. It's not a small job. Also in this area, the rear of the inner fenders rust out as well as the floor corners. Now my E9 has a little bit of rust just starting at the floor corners, but it's fairly superficial. If you see bubbling in this area on the outside of the fender, be aware that there's much more rust lurking beneath. Obviously, rockers rust out too. E9s kind of have these rocker covers that can be removed with a few screws, and it's definitely worthwhile to do so before you buy your car. All the other rust on these cars is relatively apparent. You can even check the rear strut towers and rear floor by popping out the rear seat. Should there be any rust in this area, you'll see a little bit of bubbling here. The spare wheel well will sometimes be rusty, but from the cars I've looked at, most of them seem pretty solid. The final location to look for rust is the hood seams and the trunk seams, and where the hood vent mounts. They kind of start to split, and should there be any bubbling too, this will be not exactly a serious fix, but there'll likely be more rust underneath. Other than rust, these cars actually seem pretty solid. Mechanically, these cars are bulletproof. A lot of them had head gasket problems or cooling issues, but I think that was fixed with just a better head. This one actually got replaced as well. The interior is surprisingly delicate. A crack-free dash is of course quite hard to find. I lucked out with this car as it has the Shield sport seats, kind of a rare factory option, but the original seats, if they're nice shape, they're nice as well. This car is a very different animal than the 02 to drive. They're much bigger and much more of a grand tour. It's actually an unreal highway cruiser. The aerodynamics make for a little wind noise and a quiet cabin, which is quite nice. The handling is great, but it's not a tight, handy car like the 02. That being said, I'm surprised at how easy it is to maneuver, and it's basically a greenhouse inside, so you can really see everything. Backing up is no issue, there's no blind spots. It's great. I guess I should also mention that the floors rust out. If you have a sunroof car, that surround will rust, the noses rust. Almost anywhere where there's metal, these cars will rust. They're that bad. But they're beautiful cars to look at, and they're super nice to drive. I'm very, very excited because in 2 weeks I'm heading down to Monterey for Car Week, and I'm taking the E9. So it should be a wicked trip. Yeah, subscribe if you want to see that. And as always, thanks for watching. Oh, I'm super excited. Oh, this is gonna be sweet.